So you want to buy a house, you want to improve your credit, or you just want to be more financially aware. You're in the right place. My name is Betsy Hughes, and I have over 35 years of experience in mortgage and real estate industry, and my passion is to share the knowledge that I've gained over that 35 plus years with as many people as possible. So let's dive into today's topic. What I want to share with you is what that first phone call looks like when you call a lender. So many times what I hear is, I am thinking about buying a house, I want to buy a house, but there is fear around making that first phone call and talking to a lender. And so part of this video is hopefully to help you to deal with some of the anxiousness that comes with that and realize that most mortgage lenders honestly are pretty harmless, and our goal is really to help give you the information that you need in order for you to be able to take those next steps. So I will say that I think that doing a pre-approval as early in your process as possible is a really good idea. Even if you think that you might not be ready to buy for 3 months or 6 months, it's still a good idea to have that conversation and to really look at having your credit pulled and verifying information so that you know that you're on the right path. One of the things that we can do as lenders is to help you to determine if there are things that need to happen in order to help you to get to where you need to be to buy the house that you want to buy. So my goal in this video today is really just to go through what that first phone call looks like when a borrower calls me. So after the initial introduction, finding out a little bit about who referred you to me or where you got my information, we're going to talk about you. And I'm going to ask you to tell me a little bit about your real estate story. Where are you? If this is a first home that you're looking at purchasing, are you renting right now and have you been making monthly payments? Or are you living with family? What's the status of that in terms of your history? And what are some of your goals, right? What is your time frame in terms of purchasing? If you are a first-time home buyer and you are renting, do you have a lease? If you're listening to this and you're not a first-time home buyer, do you have a home that you need to sell? And I'll do a separate video totally on sort of the timing of that, because it can be it can be as confusing, honestly, as looking at buying your first house. So after we talk a little bit about you and your story, and you tell me a little bit about who's going to be on the loan and what you're looking for and what your time frame is, the next question that I'm going to ask you, and this is typically the first question, is have you thought about a budget? What is your budget for your monthly payment? How much do you want to pay a month? And this is something that very often when I ask that very first question, I get a little bit of hesitation, and a lot of people honestly have not thought about that. And I think that that's key. And here's why. Because as lenders, our job is to tell you what you qualify for. Our job is to help you to understand the loan products and programs and all of the things that are available for you. But just because you qualify for a certain number does not mean that that is where you should be purchasing or how much you need to purchase. And so knowing what your comfort level is based on your personal situation is going to be helpful for me to be able to tell you then, okay, if your budget is X number of dollars, what is that going to buy you in today's market? And so I'm recording this video at a time where interest rates are quite a bit higher than what they have been. And so it is important for you to know, based on that budget and your time frame and when you're buying, how much is that going to buy you? And it will be different depending on interest rates, of course, right? And so the next thing that I would assure you is, once you talk to me about budget, I'm going to also give you, through this pre-approval process, the max that you qualify for and what that payment looks like. And then we're going to talk about all kinds of different things in between there. And most of the time, what's going to happen is that you then will find something that's somewhere in between, right? It is always a great thing when somebody can find a house that is in their budget and their monthly payment and all of the stars align, and that's great. But a lot of times that doesn't happen. It is important though, and part of, again, the reason for doing the pre-approval as early in the process as possible is so you know what to be looking for, right? You don't want to be looking on some of the sites like Realtor.com or Zillow or Redfin or whatever it is and looking at homes that are higher priced than what you're going to be comfortable with in terms of budget. Now, I will also say on this, I have had it happen before where somebody, a borrower, has talked to either a realtor or they've done some calculations on their own, and then they go out, they make an offer, and all of a sudden then they're kind of, now we need the pre-approval because we're getting ready to make the offer. They've already looked at the house, they've already fallen in love with the house, and then, all of a sudden we find out that for some reason there was something that wasn't calculated quite right, and that payment is going to be more than what was anticipated. And you don't want that to happen. You really want to have all of that information up front in order to help you to make the best decisions. Okay, so then after we talk about budget and we sort of have that conversation about what I'm going to be giving you or telling you in terms of max amount that you qualify for and payments and all of that kind of thing. The next thing that we're going to talk about is assets. How much money do you have available to use towards down payment and closing costs? What I find is that for most people, this is one of the biggest fears or concerns, is how much money they have or they don't have, right? And feeling like there's this giant amount of money that you need to have in order to buy a house. You don't. There are programs available, specific programs for first-time home buyers that will help you with some of that in terms of down payment and closing costs. There are even programs where you can do 100% financing, and so you're not putting any money down. You do have options to ask the seller to contribute towards some of the closing costs in order to keep your numbers at a minimum. There are conventional programs where you can put 3% down. FHA is a program at 3.5% down. And so there's lots of things there that are available to you as a first-time home buyer to help with that if you don't have a house that has equity, right, that you're selling and putting into something else. So we're going to talk about that. How much money do you have? Where is it? Where did it come from? Is it money that you've saved? Do you have family members that might be able to help you with a gift? You can do that on almost all loan programs. So all of that, just as far as figuring out what those numbers look like and helping you to understand again so that you have the information and you know how to plan and what you need to do. And that is going to help to determine what your time frame is, if you're ready to buy right now, or if you might need to do some savings and put a plan in place as far as that goes. So again, the more information you give a lender, the better off you are. I have had people that have felt like, and I've watched videos where people are like, these are the 3 things your lender doesn't want you to know. No, we want to know everything so that we can help guide you in the best way possible. Okay, so now we've talked about your real estate story, we've talked about your budget, and we've talked about the numbers that you have in terms of money to work with for closing. Okay, so then the next thing that we would talk about is income. What is your job situation? How long have you been on your job? How much do you make? Are you a W-2 employee? Are you a salaried employee? Are you self-employed? Do you earn bonuses or commissions? I'm going to do a whole separate video on why some of those things are important in terms of looking at the documents up front to really verify that all of that information. But it's really important that we talk through how you get paid, because that's going to make a difference in terms of, again, loan programs, income that we can use for qualifying, all of that sort of thing. Okay, so once we get done talking about your employment and that kind of thing, the next thing that we're going to do is talk about your timeline. How, when are you looking at buying, right? Is that something that you want to do right away? Is it something that you're just kind of getting information and you're thinking about it? What is that timeline for you? And you need to know that as a lender, we are here to work on your time frame. And so whether that's 3 weeks or it's 3 months or it's 3 years, my goal and my job is to help give you as much information so that you can make the best decision and you can purchase whenever it is that you're ready to do that. Okay. And then the next thing that we're going to do is talk about how you make the application, right? So the application typically is done online these days. Technology has changed a lot. I remember when I started in this business 35 years ago, we didn't even have a fax machine. There certainly was not the ability to do things online. The MLS, where you look for houses, was actually a 3-ring binder. And now everything is online, right? So most of my clients will do their application online. And so I would talk about getting that link to you. And then the other thing that I would help you to understand is that by using that, you have the ability to send all of your supporting documents, like your pay stubs and your bank statements and your tax returns, whatever else that we need. You can upload those securely, and that way there's not paper copies of anything laying around. It's all secure and in a place where it's electronic. So no risk for you of having information laying around. This is a really big change from how it used to be years and years ago. But that's the easiest way to do that. Now, the other thing is you do have the option. If you want to come in and you want to sit down and talk to a lender, you absolutely should have the ability to do that. So know that for me, that's something I'm happy to do, especially with first-time home buyers. Having that face-to-face conversation sometimes can make it feel a lot more comfortable. But if you're working with a lender who isn't willing to do that or who can't do that, I would maybe give that a second thought, because I think that it is really important to know that you have the ability to do a face-to-face, whether that is at the time that you're pre-approved, when you're actually making the loan application, at any time throughout the loan, the loan process and closing. Okay. Then the last thing that I would let you know is that it's really important that your lender and you as the borrower and your real estate agent are all working together as a team. And this is something that is surprising to me, that a lot of people don't understand that that's what we do, right? I had a conversation with a first-time home buyer and they were like, am I gonna have to know all of this that we're talking about and give all of this information to my real estate agent? And my absolute answer to that is no, absolutely not. Our job is to help to convey the information to the real estate agent that they would need to have when you're making the offer. And so again, it's really important that we're all working together and that we're all on the same page and we're having conversations where they know what you're doing in terms of financing and why you're doing it. And that will help them to be able to present the best offer to a seller. There are some things, depending on the market, that I also can do in terms of connecting with the agent who has the house listed and giving them, obviously not any specific information because that's all confidential, but I do have the ability to help them to know what we've done in terms of that pre-approval and really looking at documentation and how helpful that is going to be for them in terms of knowing that they have a firm pre-approval. So I did another video that is the difference between a pre-qualification and pre-approval. I'm not going to go into any more detail on that. Check out that video, but that goes into some of the things and why it's so important for us to look at the actual documents and that. So here's the thing. That's what the first phone call looks like. Honestly, it's pretty painless. And whether you are ready to jump in and go online and do that application and get your credit pulled and do that right away, or if that's just having that first conversation and like just kind of starting to get some information, I think it's important to do the full pre-approval as soon as possible because, again, that's going to help to put you in the best financial position to be able to purchase. So I hope this video was helpful. I would love for you to comment and I will respond to those and take a look at that. I also would so appreciate it if you would like or you would subscribe to my channel. There are going to be tons of videos that I'm doing. Some of those videos will be just me. Some of them will be other people in the industry. They will have information for before you buy. There will be information about things that you can do after you purchase a home and some financial things that you might need to know about that. So again, like, subscribe, comment, and thank you very much for listening. That's 15 minutes. Gosh, that was longer.